So what do you listen to when you fly?
I've been putting a lot of like Latin music in there now. Like half of my playlist is in Spanish now. It's my Pato playlist. I spent a lot of time at his house.
So we know you have the pilot's license. So we thought it'd be fun to at least do this where we're both going to make a paper airplane.
Okay.
And we can compete at the end to see who can get it very far.
Oh boy.
But you can pick color, you can
Oh man.
decals. It's here.
I'll take this orange paper.
All right, very fitting.
I don't really know how to make a paper airplane. Is that bad? Am I supposed to be able to know how to
find
make a
out.
paper airplane?
The reason being, because we want to start with the pilot's license thing.
Okay.
What got you to get a pilot's license? Did someone in your family fly? Was it something you were just like, hey?
No, so I moved to Indianapolis. I realized that I couldn't do any of the things that I did in California when I lived there, right? Like I would go mountain biking and hiking a lot. And so I was trying to find things to do. It was something that I'd always wanted to do. And then I suddenly found myself out of school in the off season. And I was like, you know what? I wanted to do this forever. And I didn't have any like hobbies in Indy to do. So I decided to spend some time doing that, and it was a really good thing to do kind of in the winter in Indy when you can't like spend time outside or
Did you ever like go skydiving or anything?
no
I don't know.
no
I feel like going up in the air.
I also it's very convenient to be able to fly to all these races in the Midwest, so it was kind of like it was really fun. It was something I'd always wanted to do. I had time sort of.
So you started
I don't think I've done this right. I don't know.
I went lengthwise, but
All right, fine. I'll go the other way and see what happens.
we'll see who goes first. So speaking of back home, like what got you into karting at an early age?
I had like no racing background in my family at all. My dad sent me to a go-karting summer camp at Sonoma Raceway, which was kind of the closest go-kart track to where I live in Northern California, and like loved it. My dad sent me because he was like, want him out of the house for a week, and where can I send him? But yeah, ended up loving it and wanted to keep going. And I started doing like little regional races, just out at Sonoma Raceway, and then started traveling through California, and then like the national go-karting, and then it all just kind of builds on
Just
itself.
kept going.
Go through each level of the road to Indy, and here I am.
When you started, like you found a lot of success. You had a great USF 2000 season, and then Indy Next, like your rookie season was great too. Like what was the process like as you're leveling up from these different series? Like how does the competition change? How does your attitude change about it? Are you becoming more focused?
Yeah, for sure. Making a career out of it gets more and more realistic with each step. So start with USF 2000, and at least for me, it was like, this is cool. I love doing this, but didn't know if this was actually something that I could do as a career. Started winning in USF 2000, moved to Indy Pro 2000, and then it's like started talking to sports car teams, and that's when I started racing sports cars as well, and got paid to drive a race car for the first time, and I was like, oh man, I could actually do this, right?
Was that the moment that it clicks? It's like the money gets involved and someone's paying you to show up?
I think it makes it seem like a realistic career option for sure. Yeah, it's just with each step, right? You are with a more professional team, and it's like now I'm racing against people that do this for a living, and it gets to be a career rather than a hobby, right? And so I would say when IndyCar seemed like a real possibility was the first year of Indy Next. Finished second in my first Indy Next race in my rookie season, and then all of a sudden I'm having meetings with IndyCar teams, and I was like, oh man.
When you showed up at that first race and you see, because you obviously there's camera equipment, there's all these people, the paddock's a lot bigger. Like, does it really become a lot more real for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think IndyCar, again, even until Indy Next, right? You're racing Indy Pro 2000 and you're still a little disconnected from the IndyCar paddock, but then Indy Next happens and you're at every IndyCar weekend. It's an IndyCar sanctioned event. You have the same race director, start interacting with the IndyCar drivers more, and then I would say for me, like the first meeting I had with an IndyCar team owner, I walked away from that and I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was actually, it seems, it's always the goal and the dream, but it's not really realistic until you have that first conversation. It's like, oh man, I actually might end up driving an IndyCar.
Did you call your parents and be like, oh shit, like that just happened? Like, what was that experience?
Yeah, the first meeting I had, again, it was St. Pete, finished second, and then later in the day, like after the IndyCar race, went and met with a mysterious IndyCar team owner. It was just like, obviously when I woke up that day, I was like, had no idea that that was going to happen. And then it just,
Was
you
it in
start
a
building
layer, like
relationships.
underground layer?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, down in the depths
Yeah.
with, St. Pete sewers. No, so it's just interesting how it all builds on itself, and it gets more serious, and it changes. Right, it changes from a hobby to a job.
At that time, you had gone into Stanford.
At that point, I was still in my senior year of high school.
Okay. You then ended up getting in. I mean, the acceptance rate it's like the third best school in the world. It's incredible. And so many people aspire to have that. I guess, what was that decision like for you and your family? How did you think through that? And how did you come to say, all right, I'm going this way?
At that point, I'd been doing school kind of online, and so I had already kind of opted out of like regular school. The thought process was just that IndyCar is not something that you can come back to. You pass up an opportunity here and you're never coming back. And this has been my goal and my dream, and something that I've been working towards since I was an 8-year-old kid. So when this opportunity came about, and originally when I deferred from Stanford, I didn't have a drive in IndyCar, and the goal was like, hey, maybe I can do a season of IndyCar, and kind of live that dream and see what happens. And then I got the offer to come here, and it's just not something that you can turn down. So I figure I can always go back to school, and whether it's at Stanford or somewhere else, or I'm doing it in some alternate way, like you can always go back to that.
Yeah.
You can never come back to this, and this is where I want to be. So giving it a shot.
So you made that decision. You ended up with Dale Coyne. You got in that IndyCar for the first time. How did that change your whole perspective? Was that like a wow, like incredible feeling? What was it like?
Yeah, I did my first IndyCar test. I was at Daytona for the 24, and it was the roar before the 24.
Okay.
I'd met Dale a couple times, but I was standing on like the pit stand watching my teammate drive around at Daytona on the test day, and Dale walked up and like tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, Nolan, we have an IndyCar test. I think this was maybe Sunday, and he was like, there's an IndyCar test on Tuesday. Do you want to drive? I was like, yeah. So I flew from Daytona to Indy to get my seat, and then flew from Indy with my seat to Miami and went to Homestead and did my first IndyCar test. I literally like checked my seat on the airline.
Oh my God.
Picked it up baggage claim in Miami. That test went really well, and then ended up doing the partial season with Dale. And but yeah, again, it's just another one of those things where it's like you're talking about it and trying to get a test, and I can't get a test, can't get in the car, and then finally it clicks, and like got in the car for the first time, and it went really well. And after that day, I was, then we're talking about doing races, and it just became more of a realistic thing. Yeah.
Were you nervous as all hell, like when you check in a seat, hoping that they don't lose your bag?
Yeah, the funny thing, I think it was a Frontier flight.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was
Really
Spirit
gambling.
it was so rushed. It was like I had one day and I had to get to Indy and get back to Miami, and I'm like, yeah, it was very stressful.
Please don't lose this bag.
Yeah, exactly. I went, and I got there late, and like the lady didn't want to check it at all, and I was like, you don't understand.
It's gonna stuff it in an overhead.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you to the Frontier lady at the, baggage check-in.
And they say, I want to jump ahead of the 500. So getting there is a massive goal.
This is, I don't think this is going to fly at all.
I got this far, but I don't know if this is going to.
All right, sorry.
No,
I haven't been focused on my paper airplane.
We got some time. So you had the opportunity to participate in the 500 with Dale for that first season. What is that experience like? I'm sure the pressure is very high, but like the anticipation for it, like what really gets to you as a driver? What stands out?
I think just the size of the event. And I'd been there as a spectator, which I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to go there as a spectator before driving. Just because you get an appreciation for the event, and there's nothing like it.
Its scale is incredible.
Yeah. I've never been to another motorsports or really any event that rivals the Indy 500, and it was wild to experience that. And obviously it didn't go the way that we were hoping it would go, but it did open a lot of doors for me, and ultimately learned a ton. I'm glad I did it, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity.
On that, I want to ask you about the learning piece, because we spoke with Jack Harvey. I think I shared a bit of this when we talked at the 500, but he said that he gave you some advice on bump day, and his words were that the advice was, you and your core have to maintain your self-belief and your ability to stay present and make the situation in front of you better somehow. Do you remember the conversation you had with him at all from that weekend? Like, do you take anything away from that?
I don't know if those were his exact words, but yeah, no, having Jack there was huge for me, and yeah, for him to be as helpful as he was and as open as he was huge for me. Him and Catherine both. Like it was really great to get the opportunity to work with the two of them, and yeah, I think he and Charlie Kimball were huge for me through that whole experience, and I think the biggest lessons that I learned were about keeping my composure and keeping the right mindset, because ultimately it was just a very difficult situation from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right. I think both Catherine and I not being full-time, neither one of us had really done an IndyCar race all year. Like, you're showing up racing against people that do this every weekend. You're at every possible disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Like that, it's just a difficult situation from the beginning. I think maximizing that was a huge mental challenge, and something that Jack was very helpful with, and anyone with that much experience in this series or just in motorsports in general has gone through those situations. There's not a single person in this paddock that hasn't had a weekend like that.
Exactly.
It was great to have him. And then Charlie, I think the best advice Charlie gave me was that he kept saying pressure is a privilege. And it's true, like just being there, right? It's very easy to not enjoy it, right? Like it's not an enjoyable experience to be struggling. But you also have to kind of take a step back and look at what you're doing and say, it's pretty incredible that I'm here in the first place.
Yeah, and too, like, to be able to look back and say, all right, I got that one out of the way.
Yeah.
I've learned from it.
Yeah.
Now we move forward from that, and you have that learning. That's also privilege in a way.
For sure.
Probably not the most in the moment good feeling.
No, it's hard to remember
fact.
that in the moment, but at the same time, you kind of have to try to think about that as it's happening and
Right.
just make the most of it.
So you ended up bouncing back from that weekend in a big way. You won 24-hour Le Mans. What was put into words what that feels like to pull that off?
It was incredible. That was a bucket list event, right? And like just something that it's like the 500.
Yeah.
It's kind of on that scale, and something that since I was a little kid, again, I always grew up with IMSA racing more than IndyCar. Like when I was growing up go-karting and racing USF 2000, I spent a lot of time at IMSA races and had a lot of my kind of like coaches and mentors were engineers and drivers in IMSA. So sports car racing was always something that I wanted to do. And Le Mans is kind of the ultimate sports car race, right? So, and after the 500 to then go there and be successful and win, the contrast in such a short, yeah, it's truly the highs and lows of racing, and anyone in motorsport will tell you that you have the highest of highs and the lowest of lows through any season.
Yeah.
Maybe not Pelot this year, but basically anyone else in any other season, even if you win the championship, you have your low points.
Yeah, you're not winning 100% of the race.
That was
right?
But that was like truly the highest of high and the lowest of low right next to each other.
Is it compounded because you've been up for 24 hours? Well,
for sure.
Did you stay up the whole time? Because you've asked this to people. Like, do you sleep? Do you stay
I
up?
tried to sleep, but you never really get much.
So did that make
Pretty
it
much
more emotional?
Yeah,
Like,
you're exhausted. Everyone's exhausted. You can't like contain yourself. Everyone's crying, and it's like, but yeah, for me especially, again, right after being so disappointed and like so upset after the 500 and having such a low point, it makes winning so much more special, and I think that's why it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
And you have so many weekends when you're so disappointed with the result that when the result does come, it's a good feeling.
Is that a good reminder for you? Like, you look back at the trophy or any of that and say,
yeah. It's I have my suit and the trophy and the helmet, and every once in a while I like look at it and I'm like, you know what? That was pretty cool. You have a bad weekend here and look at that, and it's like,
it takes time.
That was a low point. We'll have our highs here too, right?
Exactly. Another high right after that, you ended up signing with McLaren.
Yeah.
You're going through this wild roller coaster. I cannot imagine your life at that time. Like, what does this team mean for you? What did it mean for you to have this be the team that you landed in coming out of those couple months?
After the 500 and really after like Road America, where I ended up with Juncos and stepped out of Indy Next, I kind of had walked away from the Indy Next campaign to try to come to IndyCar. The IndyCar deals didn't work out the way that I was expecting them to. And there was kind of a week or two there where I had no drive for the rest of the year. So basically went to Le Mans thinking that was like going to be the last race I would do all year. And I had no drive in anything. And then 6 days later, signed here for 2.5 years. And it's like, it was a very stressful process. But I ended up in the best possible place, and being at a team with the brand image that Arrow McLaren has, and getting to be a part of this program and see this program's growth this year is really cool. And I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be a part of it. And there's a very exciting future at this team. And it's exciting for me to be somewhere and have some stability, and be somewhere where I can grow and help the team grow.
I'm curious, like when you end up at a team like this, what are the pressures that it alleviates, and what are the pressures that it maybe adds that people don't think about, right? Versus maybe joining a different team if we were starting with Dale or others.
Yeah, it's different. There are different pressures, and I think when I was kind of working different deals with different teams, racing Indy Next, racing the sports cars, racing the IndyCar, like every week, I would basically end every weekend and go, what am I doing next week? How do I get in a race car next weekend? Nothing was ever certain. It was always just talking to people about trying to drive this, trying to drive that, trying to drive everything I possibly could and find something stable. And that was super stressful. It's really hard to do every weekend and go, what am I going to race the rest of the year? You know, this weekend has to go well because I might not end up in a car.
Yeah.
Now there's some stability and I know what I'm doing every week, but now there's a very high expectation, and whether that's from other people or me, you know, honestly, it's mainly me. I want to perform and I want to give myself and the rest of the group the result that they deserve. So I would say that's kind of the difference. I don't know if one's really more pressure than the other. It's just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, man, well, thank you.
Yeah,
great.
No worries.
Should we try and see how far?
Dude, I didn't even like...
You want to try real
I
quick?
haven't even unfolded mine.
We can throw it outside.
Here.
Well, I don't know if that'll make it outside, to be honest.
I don't think it... Well, it might not work at all.
Well, you never know.
That's okay.
Oh. All right. You won. Win. Wait, that's so ironic. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out our full playlist and to subscribe to the channel for more racing content just like it. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.